Alright, so this is our finished product. We've got our canned apples here, and we just have to remember to keep all of the cans. We have to check them after about 12 hours to make sure that all of the seals have popped. And so the way that you'll be able to know that your seals are in fact safe to preserve for months is if you press on the top, it'll be solid. It'll be sucked in by the can and it won't click or anything like that. So our canned apples are looking great, and the syrup in here, they'll after time passes, our apples will amalgamate with the syrups and it'll taste really great. And there's lots of great ways you can eat that, including with ice cream or over pancakes or just on their own even. And so this can here, this is our unfortunate can. It didn't pop. So as you can hear, when I press my finger down, it presses down, I can feel that, and it makes that sound. So if any of your cans after 12 hours, so if it doesn't do it immediately, don't worry, give it 12 hours. If they're still making that sound, you just got to make sure that they make it into the fridge and that you consume them within 2 weeks, because they won't preserve, and it's just like having an apple in the fridge. You have to eat it because it will go bad. So we'll probably enjoy this for breakfast tomorrow morning. So we also, as you can see between these two jars, this is a regular size and this is a wide mouth. So most of our cans were regular sized. So we went out and we purchased, right here, regular sized lids for our jars. But we only had a few of the wide mouth that we were going to be canning with today. So we didn't actually buy new lids for the wide mouths. So as you can see, our wide mouth, our old lid that's been used before, it didn't pop. So it's best and most safe and most sanitary to use brand new lids every time. You can always reuse your rings here as long as they maintain the perfect circle shape. But your lids, you should really reuse them. Sometimes though, you can get lucky.
Like we did with our apple pie filling. We've already done the test on the top of the lid and there's no little clicky happening, so we know that that one's good. We've done this other for the other one and we know that that's good too. So it looks like both of our apple pie fillings were successful. Yay. And I'll just bring it closer to you. This is what the finished product looks like. It's decently thick. I would say that you would still probably want to thicken this one up again with some more flour at the end of it. But it's looking really good. We've tasted it and it tastes good. So.
Alright, so our third project. This one still hasn't popped yet either, as you can hear. Not sure if this one has. Yeah, that one's good. So our applesauce turned out great. It's still really hot, so just give you a quick look at that. You can see how the color changed from our apple pie filling, as well as from the original color of the canned apples here, with no spices in them. Yeah.
So that is what we did with the amount of apples that we had. Now, what I've done is I've gone out and gleaned a tree, one apple tree, and gotten 700-800 pounds off of one tree. So when you have, say, if you've gotten a deal where you keep half and you give somebody else the other half, you still have 300 to 400 pounds of apples. This is still all doable at 400 pounds of apples. All you need to do is portion a little bit different, buy more jars, more sugar, your ingredients, or just the 4 ingredients that we used, which was the apple, the cinnamon, the sugar, and the lemon juice. So what you do is you just proportion it the way that you need to have it in order for that 400 pounds. The good thing about getting it all off of one tree is that you know that all the apples are going to be the same. So at that point, I would do something like apple pie filling. What we noticed here today a little bit more too is use more apples for the apple pie filling and for the apple sauce. So what we found is that we gleaned about, what was it, 1 pint of apple.
2 pints of apples for 1 liter.
Yes, 2 pints of apples for 1 liter. And then this one was 4 pints of apples for 2 liters. So they do use some apples. So if you have 400 pounds in the summertime, which I have had my kitchen full of apples, my bathtubs full of apples, everything full of apples. And now we're going to make, 25 dozen applesauce. And I have done that. So, what you do is you just portion it out. You do it in stages. I would suggest at that level, if you're doing hundreds of pounds of apples, that you do get the proper equipment, because it saves a lot of time during the process. Some of the things that I would get, and I do have at home but I didn't have here today, are the funnels. So you have funnels that you can put into the jar, and you can put your product that you've just made into the funnel, and then that way your top is not as dirty, it's easier, it's not as messy. You can do all that quite a bit easier. The other is you can get tongs, big tongs to pull up your jars. We didn't have those here today too. Those are good to have. If you're doing hundreds of pounds of apples at once, I recommend that you buy or have in your possession, maybe at your disposal, borrow it from a friend or an organization close to you, and that is one of the apple core and peeler in one. That helps considerably with the time that you're sitting there and doing your apples, and you can just crank them out. You can literally just crank them out, and then that way you can easily do the hundreds of pounds of apples that is sometimes necessary in the summer and the fall.
We can also, something else that would be useful to have that we didn't have here today was the water bath canning kettle. So that's something else. You can improvise on a lot of different things. As you saw today, instead of using the proper canning tongs, we used just normal kitchen tongs. It was a little messy, as you saw, but also our makeshift water bath. There's different ways that you can improvise. So canning can be very accessible and very doable in a kitchen setting at home with your auntie. And so yeah, and just to put it a little bit into perspective, so we were saying before, 2 pints per 1 liter. So right here we have used approximately 28 to 30 apples. So we have made 1, 2, 3, 4 liters of apple product with roughly 30 apples. So all cut up and diced up, that's what, 4, 8, 12 pints of apples. Yeah. So just to roughly put it into perspective, it's doable off of a small tree or a big tree, and you can do this to have your cupboard with fresh preserves year-round that you have gleaned from your community or from your own yard.
Or even if you only have a couple of apples in your fridge that are getting old and you know you're not going to eat them by hand, then you can easily put those 2 apples together. I wouldn't do it with any less than 2. I've done it, but I wouldn't do it with any less than 2 apples. You can just make an applesauce right then and there. You don't have to preserve it, keep it. You can just make it for your family and with as little as 2 apples. So that is always an option too. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching our video today.
Yes, thank you for watching our video. It was good being here with you.